Hello and welcome to another edition of The Morning Serve. Emma Lawrence alongside Jim Courier. Jim, let's talk about Coco Gauff to start with. She won the US Open title, still only 19 years old, but she just really seems to have that confident demeanour. Do you think that's a crucial element that makes a champion player?
I think so. I think that one thing that Coco has, which is not always easy for someone who's been in the spotlight as long as she has, is she actually feels comfortable in her own skin. She's a pretty self-aware person, has a lot of good thoughts about the world in general, not just focused only on her tennis. And I think that broad perspective really helps her keep things in perspective when it's not going as well. And we saw that last year after she took a tough loss in the first round at Wimbledon. She bounced back, changed her team, and then went on this magnificent run, culminating in a win at the US Open and her first major title. She's very mature for her age, and I think that serves her really well, Emma.
Her idol was Serena Williams. Can you see, I know this is a big call, but can you see shades of Serena in Coco Gauff?
Look, I think that she's going to wear that type of mantle as the woman that a lot of us will look to in America as far as carrying tennis, and possibly globally, the way that Serena did. You know, Serena and Venus, they trailblazed a lot of ground. They opened a lot of doors for Coco, and so Coco won't have to kick things down in the same type of manner, but I think she's very capable of carrying that baton extremely well.
You mentioned the fact that she's confident in her own skin, and we've seen a few examples of that really over the last year. So far this tournament, she basically said, you know what, my outfit is not a carbon copy of Serena, so she was confident enough to say that. And then last year we had that incident, called out the USTA on Twitter and said it was a foul cartoon of her. But then she had to backtrack and say, no, it's my TikTok humor, you misunderstood.
Yeah.
So is that classic sort of next-gen player that
Totally.
She doesn't care? And
well, she does care. She knows that people are watching her. She knows she has a responsibility to the tennis fans around the world to be authentic.
Yeah.
And she's truly authentic, and then she's also very professional.
Yeah.
You know, she understands there's a persona and a perception, and she also understands there's performance. And she's mostly focused on performance, and that's really shown in the big changes in her game, the things that we've seen her be able to do, a new service motion already at the start of this year that Andy Roddick has helped her discover. So she's still pursuing her own version of perfection, Emma. She's getting closer, and she's got a great head on her shoulders and a great team around her.
Another youngster, Amanda Anisimova, only 21 years old, was hyped up as the next big thing. She took a break to focus on her mental health, and she's come back, knocked off the 13th seed, Samsonova.
Yep.
What do you think that will do for her confidence, being able to do that straight away?
I think that's massive for Amanda. She's a terrific talent. She's been on our radar since she made the semifinals of Roland Garros as an 18-year-old, I believe. She had a tough crisis in her personal life when her father passed away unexpectedly, and that really sent her reeling. And it's taken her some time, I think, to kind of get grounded again. And I hope that she is grounded. She's a great, great young woman, and she's a great talent, and the game will be better off with her in it. So hopefully this is sort of a restart for her, and she'll be feeling good about playing and handling all the stresses that traveling the world and playing professional tennis in the spotlight can bring.
Do you see any similarities between her path and potentially Ash Barty's? Because Ash also was hyped up at a young age and went through some things personally, just needed to get away from tennis. She swapped sports altogether and came back and was a champion. So could Anisimova follow a similar path?
I think that Ash has been inspiring for a lot of athletes in general, male and female, and understanding that you don't have to stay on the hamster wheel necessarily, that you can control your own destiny to a certain extent and come back on your own terms. And, you know, there's been a big discussion led by Naomi Osaka about mental health in sports, not just in tennis. And I think that has also allowed people to feel more confident and comfortable about stepping away and taking time to get right. You know, mental health, it's like physical health. You have to have that balance if you're going to perform at the highest level. And the pressures are real. And in tennis, you don't have a team to rely on, Emma. You got to do it all by yourself. So that can amplify the stresses that these players have mentally. So I think it's wonderful that people feel comfortable now on tour talking about how difficult it can be and getting help, and then hopefully coming back stronger and ready to deal with the rigors that are required out here.
And without wanting to put too much pressure on Amanda, how far do you think she can go this campaign?
It's your guess is as good as mine. I think, honestly, just by being here and competing and feeling strong enough to do that, it's a win. Anything on top of this is a bonus. And I think in some ways it's a little bit the same story of the moms coming back.
Yeah.
You know, you're coming back from a real challenge and something new and fresh, and then you come back and you've got to give yourself a little bit of time. Maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months to really say, okay, here's where I am now. I'm back, I'm comfortable again, and now I can adjust my performance accordingly.
Let's talk about a little bit of drama just for a moment.
Drama.
And a few of the umpire calls. We've had 2 double bounce calls that were incorrect to 2 Aussies as well, James McCabe and Chris O'Connell. Is it time that we look at a situation we have in other sports where there's a replay option or a VAR or something so we're not making these mistakes?
I think, look, we've come such a long way. We now have electronic line calling that is automated, so we've eliminated some of the human error on the line calls. If we can go a little bit further and eliminate the human error on things like double bounces or when you go across the net and touch the net, those kinds of infractions, it'd be great just to make sure that we get it right. If we have the technology, which I believe that we do, and if anyone can do it, it should be the slams that lead, because they're the leaders in our sport in general, and if they show us the way, we could probably have it trickle down to the other tournaments.
And surely everywhere you look across those courts, there are cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
Surely we should utilise that technology. It can't be that difficult, do you think?
There have been some tournaments where it has been in use, and so it's available for players to get replays and for officials to get replays. So my view, coming from my old playing background, is let's just get the calls right and let the players decide the outcome. And there's these well-intended officials who are the best in the world at what they do. They make mistakes in the same way that players will miss easy shots. Easy calls will be missed. So the more that we can use technology to get it right, I think the better.
We know that Chris O'Connell was frustrated, but at least he's through to the second round where he will face Ben Shelton. Jim, how do you see this one playing out?
Listen, Ben Shelton played so well here last year and at the U.S. Open. Made the semifinals in New York, made the quarterfinals here. So he'll have some confidence coming in. But Chris O'Connell, I love his story. I love his story of perseverance. The fact that this guy's had so many injury issues and had a real job and has now found his way back into a professional sport. It's a magnificent sort of Renaissance story. So I certainly think that Shelton is the favorite, but Chris O'Connell is someone I think a lot of people need to get behind and cheer for.
Shelton, the favourite and the agitator at times as well. Do you think he has become sort of a villain in the tennis world, or is he a little bit misunderstood?
I would go with misunderstood. I think that, Ben is a confident young man, and he has a lot of swagger on the court. And I think that some people might not take to that, but I think a lot of people do. I think there may be a little bit of a bifurcation of people who love it or maybe don't. But I think Ben Shelton, if you get to know him personally, I think you'll fall in love with him.
One of those players that perhaps thought this was Novak Djokovic, because at times they haven't seen eye to eye. Do you think Shelton enjoys the fact that he's on the same side of the draw as the world number one?
I think he'd relish the opportunity to play Novak. I think these young guys want to test themselves against the best. And Shelton obviously took on Novak at the U.S. Open. It went Novak's way pretty conclusively. So that would be a good test for him to get back out there and see if his game has improved since then. It would obviously be a big hype fest, too, because there would be all the discussions and the clips from their press conferences talking about the phone hang-ups and all that stuff, which was misunderstood. In the first place, Ben was saluting a track athlete who's a buddy of his who did that when he was winning races. So it's all, if we're talking about it, it's probably a good thing, right? Because it's just bringing a little bit more attention to the sport.
Speaking of Novak, he's the favourite to take out his 11th crown here. But up next against an Aussie, Popyrin, we'll all be right behind him. But for Alexei, what chance do you genuinely give him against Novak?
Well, genuinely, if you look at the statistics of playing Novak in Melbourne Park, it's not a great chance. But having said that, Alexei beat Taylor Fritz here last year. He played great, served out of his mind. He's going to need another performance like that to challenge Novak, who seems to have no lingering effects from the wrist and forearm issue that was troubling him during the United Cup. He seems to be in good spirits. He was tested, Novak, in that first match by the 18-year-old Dino Prismic. That'll probably make him even better for the next round. So Alexei's going to have to be sharp, really sharp.
If Alexei is to get the job done, is it just on the back of energy and confidence, or is there somewhere he can target Novak?
Well, the next time you find a weakness in Novak's game, please let me know. We've looked through it with the microscope for years, and he's just shored up all the weaknesses. To really beat Novak, if you look at the people who've been beating him lately, it's people like Jannik Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. And what do they have? Big firepower. These are guys who can basically take offense from any position in the court and prevent Novak from doing the same. So Alexei's going to have to, I think, be in all-out assault mode to stand a chance, because if you rally with Novak and give him a chance to manipulate you, you're going to be shaking hands a loser.
So many Aussies in action tonight. The biggest of the lot, Alex de Minaur. Not the way he would have liked to get through to the second round, with Milos Raonic having to retire. Alex dropped that first set. What do you think he would have learnt from that time on court?
Listen, I think that Alex came into this tournament with so much confidence, Emma, but confidence can only do so much when you're facing someone that's firing 225K serves into the corners. You're basically a passenger at that point, and you just have to survive it. And that's what he did. I don't think that should shake his confidence one bit. And in fact, it should give him a little bit more, because he was able to turn that match around. He was up an early break in the third set when Milos had to pull the pin with the bad hip. So he's fresh and rested. He's confident. He's playing a tournament he loves. I think this is set up well for the Demon.
Second round against Matteo Arnaldi. Do you think you said it's set up well, but does he get through it easily?
I don't know about easily. Arnaldi is a fast-rising young Italian who's into the top 50 already. And one thing that will be more comfortable in this match for Alex, no matter what the scoreline is he'll get to play this match on his own terms. He will get to use all of his strengths and assets in the new slices and drop shots that he's been showing us this year and showcasing, something he wasn't really able to do against Raonic. So this will feel like he's back playing normal tennis again. And I've had that experience as a player where you play a big server and it just felt terrible, but you survived it. There's a sense of relief, for me at least, and I think that Alex will feel that when he takes the court later today as well.
No doubt will be confident. Do you think the real test, or the biggest test for him then, that'll come in the fourth round surely, up against Rublev?
Well, Rublev has to get there, and that's no guarantee. Rublev had to go 5 sets in his opening round match, but if seeds hold, that's who he would face in that one. That'd be a great contest, because Rublev is one of the more offensive-minded players in men's tennis. With his forehand, he likes to be on attack. He's a little less comfortable dealing with some of the nuanced shots that Alex has been using. That short slice backhand, which is shades of Roger Federer, the drop shot and then get to the net behind it. Rublev wants to have rhythm, and Alex is doing a good job this season of taking rhythm away from some of the big hitter players.
Yeah, well, don't forget, we've got you covered for every single minute of the action on Nine's Wide World of Sports. Jim, appreciate your time as always, and we will see everyone tomorrow for another edition of The Morning Serve.
Wide World of Sports is your home of the Australian Open.
With highlights of every match of the AO, the on-court interviews, and every day with The Morning Serve, you'll be ahead of the game.
So click that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing this Australian Open.